Hi everyone, this is just a short video to give you some tips for learning Portfolio B. That's due at the end of week 11 and it's worth 40%. So if you are watching this video, there's a good chance that you've completed quiz 1, learning Portfolio A, and quiz 2. So that's a really good place to be in, and well done for having made it this far. So learning Portfolio B is a lot like learning Portfolio A in that you'll be asked to report on a series of modules. In this case it's modules 6 to 10 inclusive. It will take you a bit longer. There's more questions. You will be reporting on more modules, but if you keep up week by week and then complete the relevant questions from learning Portfolio B as you go, module by module, it won't be difficult. It's not intended to be difficult. It's not the kind of assignment that you can leave till the last minute. You won't be able to do it 1 or 2 nights beforehand, so please do keep that in mind. There is a tendency sometimes for students to think, oh well, it's not due for ages, I'll just concentrate on my other subjects, or maybe I'll have a little break. That's a really dangerous kind of attitude to take, because the weeks roll by pretty quickly, as you know. And certainly you will need to be reasonably organised to get all of this completed. So let's have a quick look on Moodle. And of course the first document you should be looking at is always the course profile, because that has some really valuable information, and most importantly it tells you when an assignment is due and how much it is worth. So that can be located here in the information block, but hopefully you've all got a copy of that already. Then of course you'll need to go to the assessment block, and here we are, learning Portfolio B, last piece of assessment, yay. Let's open that up, and you'll see that that task description is there as well as the template. I think sometimes there's a tendency for students to go straight to the template, but you really do need to read the description first, so let's have a look at that. And it's got some important details there, like the word length. Yes, you can write a bit more than the 2,000 words, but not too much more. About 2,200 will be okay. If you want to write too much more than that, then you really have to start cutting back. And remember, there's some advice on how to do that in Module 3, because it is quite a common occurrence, especially for some of our more engaged students. They just have way too much to say, and it is important that you keep to the word length as well as you can. So as with learning Portfolio A, we're asking you to be specific, explain what you mean, use examples to back up what you're saying, and at all times be thinking how you can show off your learning from the modules, and so really be referring back to those specific concepts that you are coming across in your learning. Now, as with learning Portfolio A, we've given you a bit of a guide here on the right hand side of that description there, and that's just a guide. It's the overall total that really matters, but this is just to help you pace yourself really. Module 6 is a little different, because this is where you're reporting on your oral presentation, and so there are some additional things we'd like you to think about. For one, we'd like you to include a copy of your speech. So even if you only had a list of bullet points on the day, we'd like you to flesh those out. It's important for us to see evidence that you've done this, and also that you have followed the advice that you've been given on how to construct a speech. So please include a copy of your speech. That can be a separate document that you upload. You can upload more than one document this time for learning Portfolio A, or you might just decide to cut and paste that speech and pop it at the end of your portfolio. And you are free to upload additional resources, and this all helps to build a picture, especially if you're a distance student. So it's good sometimes for students to include their PowerPoint if they used PowerPoint, and sometimes people like to include the evaluation sheets from their audience. Now, the other module that I wanted to talk about in a bit more depth is Module 10, because that is a little bit different. Now, for Module 10, you will be analysing a newspaper article, and I'll point those out to you on Moodle in a second. You choose one. So have a skim read of both and decide which one seems more interesting to you. They're both about the same level of difficulty, so don't worry about it from that. It's more what appeals to you more. So you will be then printing that article out, taking notes on it. You might have to give it a few reads. Some of these questions will be reasonably challenging, but if you have completed all of Module 10, it's going to be a lot less challenging. There is an exercise in Module 10 which is similar to this one, which would be really terrific practice. So give yourself the best chance of success here by completing all of Module 10, and you'll be feeling a lot more confident about these questions. And then, of course, there is that assessment criteria at the end of that document, and that's what the marker will be looking at when they mark your work. So there you'll see the newspaper articles are available for you on Moodle. So have a quick read of both and then decide which one you're more interested in. Definitely print it out. You might need to give it a few reads. I'd be taking notes, I'd be highlighting key concepts, things that you might think are going to help you answer questions. And don't feel bad if you do have to give it a few reads, because it will take some thinking. I forgot to mention, as with Learning Portfolio A, there's no need to include formal referencing. That doesn't mean that you can cut and paste willy-nilly from the net or copy from your study guide word for word. If you do want to include any direct quotes, then certainly put them in inverted commas and tell us where you got that wording from. So I really hope that you find that to be a valuable learning experience. Get into it, get stuck into it, don't delay. Sometimes I think distance students might put this off a little when they see that they have to do the oral presentation. If you're a little bit concerned about that, if you're not sure how you can do that in your particular circumstances, please just contact your support lecturer. They'll be only too happy to talk you through some ideas, but don't let that be a stumbling block. So all the very best with Learning Portfolio B. The really good news is you're getting very close to the finish line now, so that's a good place to be.